Hello friends, what's going on? Welcome to another exciting episode of Dating with Max, the one and only YouTube series that looks simultaneously at Max MSP, the programming language for music and multimedia, and romance, the complex, historically contingent, underspecified, hormone-mediated conundrum of how two or more people can live together and share some kind of emotional connection, if such a thing even exists. If you're going to want to follow along in this tutorial or this video or this whatever, you're of course going to need Max 7, and while it's not totally required, in these situations like this, I like to go ahead and just find a nice scented candle, something that makes me feel, relaxed and open and uninhibited, and just go ahead and light that just to kind of set the mood while we're here. So, people ask me all the time. They ask me, Sam, what is Max for? What can Max do? And the unfortunate answer, the fortunate and unfortunate answer is that Max can, of course, do anything. If you want to make an album, Max can help you make an album. If you want to be an internationally celebrated VJ, Max can help you be an internationally celebrated VJ. If you want to write some kind of programming language that's mediated in the smells of different flowers that is then analyzed by a Raspberry Pi and compiled to MIDI or whatever, Max can help you do that. But of course, the more vexed question is, what about love? What about romance? What is the intersection between this increasingly obscure computer music programming language and the affairs of the human heart, And I'm not sure it's a question that can be answered simply. I'll tell you, David Ziccarelli, the CEO and founder of Cycling 74, the company that makes Max, he once took me aside and he said, Sam, I'll tell you something. Love is like a sandwich. And if love is a sandwich, then Max is like the little crunchy pickle that's on the side there. It's not the core thing, but it can be an amusing and a zesty complement to whatever happens to be going on in the between the two slices of bread, so to speak. But there's one key thing to remember, and that's that you can't make a sandwich out of pickles. And I don't really know what that meant, but I think it's important to keep in mind. And I think that what he's trying to say is that the relationship between Max and romance, it's not something that you can necessarily learn by reading it in a book or watching a video on YouTube, but it's something that you learn through experience. And that's what I want to do here. Let's share, let's open up, and let's discuss a couple of our experiences and maybe arrive eventually at some kind of understanding. So let me paint you a little picture. Here's a little situation that might happen to you. I had a date the other day. I had a nice young woman. She wanted to come by. It's Halloween. It's the season of spooky things and candy and costumes and all this stuff. And she told me that she had never seen a scary movie once in her entire life. I thought this was insane and told her that she should come over and we should watch one. And she agreed on the condition that we would have another movie ready that was not scary, so that if things got too intense at a moment's notice, we could switch away to this other film. And I thought, perfect. What a perfect opportunity to show off some Max skills. So here's how I made that patch. I started by coming up to File, New Project. And I'm going to save this project as Spooky Movie. Cool. Nothing in Spooky Movie yet, of course, but just go ahead and find the movies that you want to use. Mine are in /movies. It's here. I've got one called Holiday and one called Nightmare. You can guess which one is the scary movie. And I'm just going to drop these into my project so that any Max patcher in this project will be able to find that media. And then we'll come down to add new file, and I'll add a new file here called spookymovie.maxpatch. It can be called anything. It's going to be where the video goes. And I'm going to set two attributes here. One at FS menu bar 0. This will make it so that when this object goes full screen, you won't see this stuff at the top, file, edit, view, object, etc., etc. And we'll also do at erase color 0, 0, 0. And this will make it so that the color in the background here of this jit.world is real black, not some kind of off gray that will look ugly when we have video playing. We'll also add a toggle so that we can actually start rendering for this video. And why not throw in a load mess 1 so that this toggle will be on by default. Actually, that's not how adults do this kind of thing. I think a better thing to do is select this toggle, open up the inspector, and then turn on parameter mode enable. And let's change initial enable to on and set the initial to 1, and that will make it so that this toggle is on by default. Cool, now we need some video. So let's do jit.movie. Does movie need any attributes? We might think about turning on at unique 1, but it's not totally necessary. We can just make 2 jit.movies. And this first movie, we'll just do read holiday.mp4. And this one we'll do, well, actually, let's come back to this one. So this we'll just do read holiday.mp4. And I guess with this jit.movie, we can do at auto start 0, so that the movie doesn't start playing right away when we turn this patch on, but rather that we push play for the movie to start. So jit.movie, read holiday.mp4, and I'm pretty sure that, let's see, let's duplicate this and change this one to nightmare. Sweet. Let's make a bang so I can hit both of these at the same time. And then let's make a jit.x fade. Throw both of these in here. And then connect this x fade down to this jit.world. And if the world is on, and this was able to read these videos, oh right, neither of these videos is started, but now let's make a toggle here and do cell 1, 0. And whenever this toggle is 1, we'll send a start message. And whenever the toggle is 0, we'll send a stop message. Cool, toggle on, video is started. Look at this, excellent. It's playing the one movie. And if I throw a toggle in here, X fade $1, this allows us to crossfade over to this other movie. Cool. Step 1 complete. Now, of course, one thing that you're probably noticing right off the bat is that these movies are playing, while we're switching successfully between the audio is still playing for both movies. Probably not exactly what we want. So this toggle here that's controlling which one of these videos is playing, let's also do this. Let's do == 1. So whenever we're faded to the right, and then we'll do volume, oops, this should be a message box, vol $1. So this will enable audio for the right video when this toggle is up. And for this video, we'll enable volume only when this toggle is down. So let's play again and then switch over. Cool, now we're just watching this guy and then switch back. Oh, and now we're deep into Wes Craven's spooky masterpiece. Okay, so so far so good, right? All we need to do now is throw in a key and then a cell 32 to pick up the space bar. And now we start this guy playing. We're watching the movie, we're watching the movie, we're watching the movie. So, oh, that's a knife, that's scary. And just like that, we switch back over to our nice, relaxing early American classic film. So At this point, some of you have been a fan of this series or of the other Max-flavored YouTube content, might be thinking, Sam, what is this? This is a patch for babies. A baby could make this patch. I did make this patch when I was a baby. If my baby were teething, I would give them this patch to chew on, because that's what I think of it. It's too easy. It's too easy. Well, let me just ask you a question, viewer. Do you really think that this is how an adult makes a patch? Do you think that this is a organized enough, good enough, and simple enough? Do you think that this patch in today's crumbling economy and high-tech marketplace, that this kind of patch is going to get you a job? I don't think so. So let's take a look at how to take this patch and make it into something really clean and organized and scalable. And for that, I'm going to make another little object over here called P for a subpatcher, and just give it the name state. So if you take a look at this patch, you may notice that there's a couple different things going on here. So for example, there's this toggle right here, and this represents whether or not these videos are playing or paused. There's this toggle over here, that's whether we're at the left playing the scary movie or on the right playing the other movie. And there's also another bit of state down here, which is whether this thing is full screen or not. So rather than having these all be kind of stored in these toggle objects, like here's the problem fundamentally, is that if I'm looking at this patch, this thing right here, this toggle, it needs to be connected to each of these three things in order to share its state with them. And that means that a very simple idea that this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing all depend on the value of this toggle is actually represented in a very complex and space-hogging way by having these patch cords go all over the patch. So let's simplify all this a great deal. Let's pop open this state subpatcher, and then I'm going to make an object in here that's just a toggle. Put a comment next to it, and this is going to say, is playing. And this toggle is going to be the one true toggle that always and truly represents whether or not the patch is playing or not. I'm going to make another toggle down here, and I'm going to make the comment after this one say is full screen. That way we'll know whether the video is currently full screen or not. And the last one down here, we'll make this is spooky. And this will tell us whether we're playing the spooky movie or the relaxing movie. And then one more thing that I'm going to do is grab this toggle here in this is playing toggle, and I'm going to open the inspector and change the scripting name down here to playing. For full screen here, I'll grab this toggle and change the scripting name to full screen. And for is spooky down here, I'll change the scripting name to spooky, of course. Now, the reason that I do something like this is because it lets us do nice things like this back out in our main patch. Take this toggle right here, for example. I can replace that really easily with a little object that looks like this. Patter at bind to state : spooky. And this guy right here now will always reflect the state of this toggle. Where did it go? Of this toggle here in this state subpatcher. So if I start messing with this is spooky toggle, you can see that this pattern is bound to it, state being the name of the subpatcher, and : meaning look at the object called spooky within the subpatcher called state. So whatever I do to this toggle, it always updates the pattern object, which is updating this toggle down here. And that means that back out in this main patch, instead of having this key cell32 in this toggle, we can just take this pattern object, bind it to this xfade like this, make a little space here, take the same pattern object, and bind it to the volume for this jit.movie, and duplicate the pattern object one more time, and bind it to the volume for this jit.movie over here. And whether or not, this is maybe one of those points where the kind of differing personalities of people who use Max kind of comes to the fore. I'm definitely the kind of person who can enjoy, who enjoys a lot taking a big, complex, tangled patch and kind of working it into something more manageable. That for me is a very relaxing experience, but I appreciate that that might be a personality trait of kind of, how to say it delicately, special individuals. But regardless, I think we can all agree that this is a cleaner way of representing what's going on in this patch. So of course we do the same thing here with this toggle over here. Rather than doing this start-stop nonsense like this, I can change this toggle to be pattern at bind to state : playing, because playing was the name of the toggle in the other patch. And then I can move this over here if I like, and even more usefully, I can move this guy over, duplicate this, and now, you know, we've got a lot more objects, but maybe the logic is a bit more clear. And it's pretty, what's pretty clear too is we're starting to see that this and this are kind of modular units, and that because of the way we split this out, we could have as many movies as we wanted here. And if you wanted to make some kind of like video switcher using this basic kind of modular piece, it's getting easier and easier based on the way we've done this. And then finally, the last thing I want to do, of course, is set this toggle here for is it full screen. So to do that, what I'm going to do is, so these patterns are just reading the value that's in this toggle over here, but you can also write to it. So I'm going to make a, come down to the bottom of this patch here and make a key object and cell 27, which is the escape key, of course. Put a toggle here, and then we'll do pattern at bind to state : Actually, this isn't the best way to do this. Let's do this differently. Let's do pattern at bind to state : full screen, and then do message $1 or full screen $1. You actually have to do things this way. You can't just read the full screen attribute of jit.world, because jit.world is actually bugged, where if you're looking at the jit.world like this and then push escape, it doesn't actually update the full screen attribute of jit.world, or at least it doesn't notify that that attribute has changed. But anyway, so same pattern as before: pattern object bind to state : full screen, come into this state guy here. And then now what we can actually do is all that like this key press does this key press does that logic, we can put right here in the state object. So, or in the state subpatcher. So we do key, and then cell 27 for escape, 32 for mouse, and or for spacebar, and then we can even do like 112 for the P key, in case we wanted to play and pause using the P key. That's P as in portico. So cell 27, this can go to to a toggle, and then to pattern at bind to, and this will send to full screen. Only it's not state : full screen, but just full screen, because we're already in the subpatcher. So we don't need to say state : full screen. We just do at bind to full screen, because the named object is right there in the same patcher. So that binds escape to full screen. We can do the same thing here with at bind to playing for the space key, and then for, spooky for the space key, and then P for is playing. And now, if I save this, I should be able to push P to start the movie playing. That's very exciting. Space to switch to Nightmare on Elm Street. Space to switch back to Roman Holiday. This is how I wanted to watch the whole thing, by the way, but you wouldn't believe how irritating she found this. Space to switch back and forth. P to play and pause. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, escape to go full screen. And here's the thing playing in full screen. So there you have it. Something that you might be, actually, you know, it's annoying too having a toggle here and a toggle here. Can you just, if I just do this directly, will this work? If, since this is already a toggle, if I just send a bang straight to this, will this work? So let's play. Oh my God, it works. Okay. Oh no, that was for playing. Okay, so playing, and then, no, it doesn't work. I was hoping that you could send a bang straight to this thing bound to spooky, and it would send a bang to this toggle. It's not quite how it works. You have to actually update the value of the toggle through the pattern object rather than just sending messages directly to the object. But anyway, so here's a question you might be asking yourself, especially if you're an experienced Max person. What is the point of all this? We've done all this complex reorganization stuff, and to what end? What have we really achieved? Well, here's an example of why this is good. It makes it very easy to extend the functionality of your patch. So here's something that you might have noticed. This movie is playing, and unfortunately the mouse pointer is just sitting there. It's sitting there on our screen. It's very irritating. We probably want to get rid of it, but what we probably like to do is have a feature sort of like any video player, where if the mouse isn't moving for a little while, you make it disappear. So how would we do that? Well, given the way that we've architected our patch up to this point, it's actually extremely easy. All we have to do is figure out some way first to record the state of the mouse cursor, and then, or rather whether the mouse is moving or not, and then we'll just use that, we'll combine that with this is full screen attribute to determine whether or not we should be playing the video. So first things first, how do we measure whether the mouse cursor is moving or not? Well, as you probably know, there's an object called mouse state. If you take the mouse state object and send it the poll message, load mess poll, then mouse state will start outputting the current state of the cursor. This will send a poll message when the patch loads, but you can also double click on the poll load mess poll object with the patch locked, and it will send the poll message to mouse state. And if you did it right, then you should see the X and Y coordinates coming out of the second and third outlet here. So let's go ahead and pack those together, the X and Y coordinate of the mouse, and then let's send this into a zl.change object. And what this will do, of course, is determine whether or not one list, or whether one list is different from another list. Oh, zl.compare. Okay, sorry, I had the wrong ZL object. You actually want to use zl.compare, which will tell you whether a list is the same or different to another list. So by crossing these guys like this, we can compare the current mouse position with the previous mouse position, and this will tell us whether the current mouse is the same or different to the previous mouse. There will be 0 if they're different and 1 if they're the same. And so now what I'm going to do is use an object called clocker. Clocker is pretty sweet. You give it an argument, and then whenever you give it, it's like a metro in that once you turn it on, it starts going. And once it starts going, it'll just tell you how long it's been on at regular intervals, which is really nice. So what we can do is just do like greater than 2000, say, and this will tell us when the value has gone beyond 2000, which is to say beyond 2 seconds. So what we're going to say, of course, is whenever the mouse has been still for 2 seconds, we can turn on this guy here, which will be that the mouse is still. So what I'm going to do is just make a cell 0, which will be whenever the mouse state is different from the previous state, and then just send the reset message to this clocker. And then finally, I'm just going to add to this clocker the attribute at active 1, so the clocker will be on when we start the patch. And now, if everything worked correctly, if I stop moving the mouse, look at that, this toggle lights up down here. Very exciting. And so, of course, having done all this logic, we can just do pattern at bind to. We don't have a toggle yet that's named, say, still, but I'm going to do at bind to still, and then make a toggle over here, open the inspector, and change the scripting name to still, and then add in a comment over here that just says, is mouse still? And then I think that if we connect this toggle up and let the mouse go still, that this toggle, well, it doesn't work because we made this pattern before we made this toggle. But if I delete this pattern and then undo delete it to refresh it, everything works. Very exciting. So now, the last most important piece, we can just grab this pattern bind to still and this pattern bind to full screen, do a PAK, so that when either of these changes, we'll get both. And then, of course, do something like and, which will only be 1 when both the left and the right values are 1. And then finally, cell 1, 0. And if it's not true that the mouse is still and we're full screen, then we want to show the cursor. And to show the cursor, you just do colon. In a message box, you type colon max show cursor. However, if the patch is, or the pointer is still and we're full screen, then we do max hide cursor. And just like that, I think we've done it. Let's close this, save the patch, go full screen, let the mouse be still for a bit. And look at that, the mouse is still, and now we can watch our scary movie in peace. Although not too much of it, of course, because then I'll have to like destroy my YouTube channel or something. Teenagers running down hallways. It feels like in any horror movie, we have to torment teenagers for some reason. I just watched It Follows, which is great, by the way, and it's the same idea. We have to ruin the lives of teenagers for some reason. Maybe because we're jealous of teenagers and how carefree and exciting their lives are. Oh, that was a scary sound. Oh, that's a scary sheep. Let's switch back to Roman Holiday. Good old relaxing. Why can't I think of this actress's name? It's pretty embarrassing. I'm sure I don't totally understand the point of watching Audrey Hepburn. I'm sure I don't totally understand the point of watching a movie like Roman Holiday on a date. When you have to watch people like Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck have exciting, attractive whirlwind romances. What's the point of that? I don't want to watch other people have romance. I want to have my own romance. Anyway, so there you have it. A very simple little... sorry. There you have it, a very simple little patch that you can use on your next movie date. You don't have to switch between scary and you don't have to switch between Hepburn and Craven. You can switch between any two movies that you want, and maybe you could even do a Lars von Trier style movie watching where you switch between movies non-deterministically. And either torture or delight your guests depending on their sensitivities. But in any case, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was a useful and informative and introspective look into both Max and into the affairs of romance that we're also interested in. So thank you for watching, and look out for the next one. Take it easy, guys. See you soon.